What do you mean he's not gonna have his own manga? What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I'm doing to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Another fun fact, I got 10 minutes. 10 minutes specifically to talk about how I feel about episode Nagi ending very, very soon. The final volume dropping in August. So let me start the 10-minute timer right now and let's get into it. So, episode Nagi is confirmed to be ending in a few months. I don't think it's soon, but August is pretty soon. It's May right now. The May chapter's already dropped, so that means we have 3 more chapters to go. It's ending in August, so that's just going to be June, July, and possibly August. Who knows? It may end in August, or it may end in July, and just the volume comes out in August. But with that being the case, what does that mean? It means Blue Lock's going to be back to having one manga, which is an interesting choice to make. Funnily enough, the latest chapter of Blue Lock covers the whole money making side of Blue Lock, so you'd think they'd be chasing the band. But ultimately, there still is the logical reason of maybe you don't want to do 2 stories at once, and the other in-universe reason, or out-of-universe meta-narrative reason. The story of Blue Lock, by the time where I think episode 9 is going to end, based on the last chapter of episode Nagi, completely skipping over the U20 World Cup arc, or no, not completely skipping over the rest of the World 5 match, and just cutting directly after that to right before 3rd selection. That's kind of the last point where you can split the timeline and the narrative in an interesting way and still tell a story that isn't completely repetitive. Episode Nagi always did sort of have a limited window unless Nagi was directly removed from the narrative for an extensive period of time. Now, of course, he has been removed from the narrative for an extensive period of time thanks to the events of the latest chapters 300 and onward. But, big booty butt cheeks, there is 2 possibilities. Either one means it would make sense to end the episode Nagi manga where it's being ended. Either possibility 1, Nagi is going to be somehow reinstated back into Blue Lock and play in the U20 World Cup and just be a relevant character throughout the rest of the story. Meaning he's going to be with Hisagi, meaning that it would be kind of weird or redundant to have these 2 characters piled on top of each other. It just doesn't make sense. 2, there's the... there's 3 options, and this is the dark option that I will admit. 2, Nagi is actually just done, and there's no point in following a character who's not going to be doing anything relevant ever again. So there's that. But there's a secret? There's a secret 3rd option, and it's the idea that Nagi is going to walk down his own path. But considering it's very likely that Kaneshu Sensei doesn't want to just rewrite the U20 World Cup arc where Nagi was present with Hisagi, we already saw all that Nagi thought and did during that arc, and also we saw basically a majority of Nagi's Neo Aegis League journey. I mean, there's not much to cover there. It could be the case that episode Nagi is ending right now, because if we were to do a leap to the recent chapters, aka the 300s, where Nagi's been locked off, and we saw him actually join the club, if he does join the club in the main narrative, then that'd be kind of spoilers, because we still have the entire U20 World Cup to get through. And have no doubt about it, we're going to be in the U20 World Cup for at least 3 years. When did the Neo Aegis League start? Like 3 years ago? Or no, more, because it was 150 chapters. So, like, presumably the Neo Aegis League started like 4, possibly 5 years ago at this point. So, we're going to be in the Neo Aegis League, or no, the U20 World Cup arc for at least 3 years. And that's the lowest, most generous estimation of the 6 matches, because there's 64 teams showing up, so that's 6 rounds. So 6 matches that we're going to follow of just Japan exclusively. And that assumes we only follow Japan. We don't cut to like Loki or Kaiser or anything like that. So episode Nagi ending could mean a lot of things. Am I happy with where the manga's ending off? I ultimately think so. Once again, like I mentioned in the sort of 3rd and 2nd meta-narrative reasons why episode Nagi may be getting ended right now, I think episode Nagi served its purpose. It gave us another perspective on numerous characters who all were separated from Hisagi, and that's why we could not see the purview and perspective of. That was the main point of episode Nagi to me. As much as I did love the new artwork, as much as I did love the retelling, and as much as I did love seeing this side and this inner perspective of Nagi, it truly was the most interesting to me when we got to see the other side to that story. But with that story converging, everything merging back into itself, and a lot of it directly overlapping with the main manga, yeah, I get ending it right here and now, and there's not really much else I would want to or need to see. Especially considering by the time that the manga is actually catching up to, Nomura had sort of figured out his art style at that point. I'd say the Blue Lock art style has been locked in since about U20 World Cup. It's obviously gotten better even still. Nomura is an absolute monster with the pen. But another good thing about episode Nagi was the redraws of earlier instances and the different angles and stuff like that, and how the different mangaka, I'm not sure if it's the Nomura or if it's a different mangaka, I keep flipping back and forth on that. But regardless, the redraws and or new drawings of different characters from different angles, also really, really cool. But that's once again something that's specified and luckily allowed because of the variance in these characters from their relevance in the main narrative, and specifically us not seeing certain things in the main narrative. With everything being laid out, and especially Nagi being gone, I'm more than fine with Blue Lock episode Nagi ending where it is right here, right now, and never touching it again. That's completely fine. I've seen other people say they would love to see episodes for other characters, like an episode Baro, an episode Kunigami, an episode Chigiri, an episode Bachira, an episode Rin even. But notably, I think all those would kind of be boring. Except for Rin. Rin definitely does have his own interesting journey he could go on, but is it really interesting considering he just curb stomped all his competition? Like, Rin did not struggle until, like, late second selection, which we've already seen. So notably, because of how episode 9 is structured and the blanks it's meant to fill in, no other characters would have any relevant context to show us. Every single relevant character in the current Blue Lock 23 was shown in the main manga or shown in episode Nagi already. So there is really no point to elaborating on any of the other characters unless you want to do some more stuff for their backstory, but that's what the light novels are for. And I don't just see Nomura and Kaneshiro Sensei just adapting the light novels. They're light novels for a reason. They were written that way in order to be consumed that way. So episode Nagi ending, is it a good omen or a bad omen for Nagi's narrative potential? It really depends on what you want Nagi's narrative potential to culminate to. Do you want him to rejoin Blue Lock? If so, it ending could hypothetically be interpreted as a good thing. Do you want him to not rejoin Blue Lock? Okay, then his ending could be interpreted as a good thing because it's so vague, right? Ultimately, if I had to hazard a guess, do I think episode Nagi is specifically being canceled because Nagi is being canceled or essentially shut down and kicked out from the plot? I'd not really say that. I'd lean to the idea that it's just ending because there's just no more interesting story to tell. Right? Like, there's no more diversity. And unlike before the top 23 was released, where there was at least the illusion that certain extra characters that were mentioned and shown in episode Nagi, such as Hiragi, the fusion between the fusion between Nagi and Isagi, essentially, while they were introduced, there's now no hope for those characters. There's no hope for a bunch of characters. We have the top 23. That era of Blue Lock is over in a sense where we were wondering, oh, who's going to be the top 23? Who's going to be the top? That's also done. And Nagi's journey is also mostly done in the main manga. Well, not done. There's still definitely continuations for the journey that could happen. And that's the thing. So if I had to lean one way or the other, do I think this is good for Nagi in the main narrative? Or do I think it's bad for Nagi in the main narrative? I'm leaning towards it's mostly good. Once again, the latest chapters keep putting emphasis on Nagi as if there's something he's going to do, whether that be club, whether it be returning. Ultimately, I do believe Nagi's going to end up going to a club and still being passionate about football in his own way. He's going to heed Isagi's advice and not give up on football. But at the same time, like, that's it. I don't really see Nagi coming back in the main narrative, especially considering the latest chapter at the time of recording, chapter 303, went out of its way to have Ego say, I'm not using him. So unless an external higher power than even Borusuta manages to come down and be like, you're going to bring that boy back, or I'm going to boom you, I think ultimately Nagi, he may just be cooked just like his manga. And I think it ending now, and the announcement of it ending now, after Nagi's been explicitly confirmed gone, is meant to compile onto that sense of finality, that sense of ending, if you will. Episode Nagi is done. It had a story to tell, and it told that story as effectively as it could in the time restraints and in the way that it wanted to, and thusly it did. That story is now over. Especially considering a lot of Blue Lock was retroactive foreshadowing to Nagi's downfall in the Neo Aegis League, and obviously the downfall he would undergo by the end of the Neo Aegis League. It only makes sense that Nagi is put in a position where his own story, just like his story in the main story, has come to an end. The finality of it has finally caught up with him. There's no more escaping the inevitable. It is now over for Nagi, in the meta-narrative sense and the narrative sense. And it's unfortunate, but I do think it's beautiful. And I'm very interested to see what Kaneshiro Sensei does to either fill that void or if he's really just going to leave it empty. be like, the character's done. Because remember, episode Nagi only exists because people voted for episode Nagi to exist. It could have literally been anyone else who was voted in, but it was literally just Nagi. So this wasn't even really something that Nomura and kind of shows that they wanted to particularly do themselves, but they did it because of popular demand. So episode Nagi ending ultimately makes the most sense on a meta-narrative level, on an in-narrative level, on a non-repetition level, all around. It ending in August does make sense. I'm excited to see how it ends and how it wraps up, and I'm also excited to see how this ties into the main narrative. But it seems I am out of time, so I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave broken story. No, I've already done that one before. Leave shattered synopsis. There we go. That's a fancy one. Leave shattered synopsis in the comment section down below. I thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that notifications will see not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you even have a Patreon down below where you support me for as well as one month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also now become a member of the channel for as well as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions, so this series I have to review, I'd be reactions of all my videos, and if you become a $12 Patreon or a $12 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also you have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 minutes for a short video, 29 minutes long video, or any bees at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier XZ, Zara, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Gyomi, Yuki Ally, Buddha Uda, Azo 2404, Planet Crone, G Prosper, Nevis 97, and Ali. I'd like to give a big old thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Nirvana Igneal, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, and A+A. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our Inc. tier members: Fine, Austin Wimberly, Euchia, Carlo Alaimo, and Grim. And then I'd like to give a big old hefty thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And then I'd like to give a big old thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Walkie Munoz and Walkie Munoz. And then I'd finally like to give a giga super duper kidney sacrificing thank you to our ultimate, that guy with a heart on the horizon, Calvin Elder.